Thank you, David, and thanks everyone for having me today. Is your mind smarter than your heart? Or is your heart smarter than your mind? As a child, I was very shy, socially awkward, and I was smart. Number one in the class. So I hid behind my brain. In college, I studied engineering, mathematics, computer science. I continued to hide behind my brain. I was socially inadequate, awkward. In business, I started as a computer programmer, as a mathematician. I continued with the intelligence that I had, hiding behind my emotional ineptitudes. A couple of years after graduation, I discovered the Metaphysical Center of New Jersey. I took classes there. I learned about metaphysics, parapsychology, universal principles, the structure of life. And I said, oh, there's something more to life than an intellect. I want to read something to you. One of the wonderful books I read is called The Kybalion, K-Y-B-I-L-O-N. They had the principles of life. I'll read it from it. It's in the appendix of the book here. The principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. I said, oh yeah, I guess so. I'm eating a rock, which I consider the most inanimate object. It's made up of molecules and atoms. And in Physics 101, I learned that the electron goes around the proton. And then as a senior, you learned that that's wrong, it's electron clouds. I don't know what it is today. But everything vibrates, everything. The principle of rhythm. Everything flows in and out. Everything has its tide. All things rise and fall. The principle of polarity, which we'll talk about today. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. We can think of that anywhere. If we think of hot and cold, they seem to be opposites, apparent opposites, but yet they are just different poles on the same spectrum of temperature. Other examples of polarity, we see them in life everywhere, day and night, hot and cold, giving and receiving, left brain, right brain, mind and heart, yin and yang, make it happen, let it happen. These are all dualities of life that we see everywhere in nature. It's there that I learned that there's more to life than my intellect, that my heart matters, and that communications with people matter. And even when we make decisions, how often do we think about something, we go through the numbers and the linearity of the decision, but then we say, you know what, let me sleep on it for a couple of days. Let me go take a walk in the park. What are we doing? We're quieting the left brain or the mind and accessing our heart or our intuition. And then saying, what does that part of our system say? What does the other pole tell us? Do we still feel good about that decision? So the duality of life is so critically important. Now, what does all this have to do with today's work and why I'm here today? Well, I have understood that to be a good financial planner, it's not just about portfolio management or investments, okay? That might be the left brain, the mind part of it, which of course you need, but it's about relationship management. And these folks, your clients, of course, are putting their deepest trust in you, their life savings, their future. So relationship management is a very large part of what you do. And in fact, it's a large part of what we all do in any of our professions. So that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about some communications. We want to talk about interactions with folks. We want to talk about deep listening. We want to talk about authenticity. We want to talk about our self-assessment of what we're feeling so that we can express that to our clients, to ourselves, so that we can really understand both poles, the mind and the heart. Okay, so now, what does that have to do with improvisation? Okay, well, improvisation, let me tell you what improv is not. Improv is not stand-up comedy. All right? Everybody says, oh, you do a stand-up comedy. No. What's stand-up comedy? Stand-up comedy, you go out, you prepare jokes, and you go to an audience and you tell the joke and hoping that they will laugh. Okay? Improv has nothing to do with that at all. With improv, has anyone seen an improv show in Manhattan or somewhere? Okay, fine. So there's many different forms of improv. And one form of improv is typically about 6 people on the team. The team comes out, ladies and gentlemen, we are such and such a team. You know, to get us started, just give us one word. All right, so somebody throw out a word.
Frisbee.
Frisbee. Okay, fine. So what happens? These people come back, you got 6 people in the back line. They are expected now to do an improv of 25, 30 minutes, an hour, you know, doing the word Frisbee. So what do, right? They come back and they play a pattern game. They say, Frisbee reminds me of a picnic. Picnic reminds me of my Uncle John. My Uncle John reminds me of hot dog. It's a pattern game, an association game. Everyone on the back line is doing that. What on earth can we do with Frisbee to entertain the audience, right? Now, then some brave soul comes out. Let's say they have an idea. They want to do a scene about the time they threw a Frisbee with their Uncle Charlie when they were grilling hamburgers, right? So this person jumps out on stage. Now, you never leave a person on stage alone. Support. Always have somebody support. So if somebody comes out, and I'm that second person, I come out to support this person. Well, guess what? I have no idea what's going on. Zero. Absolute zero. This person is going to start a scene with me, and I have no idea. Who am I? Where are we? What are we doing? For all I know, he might say, listen, we are 2 ants in the grass, and we got to, I don't know, am I a human? Am I an animal? What am I? So what am I doing? I am listening with every fiber of my being. Every fiber. I'm looking for clues. I'm looking for intonations. I'm looking for body language. I want to know who we are and what we're doing. Otherwise, I've got nothing to say, right? So this person will give me one line. I mean, he's not going to stand there and say, and give me a litany of his thoughts. He's just going to come out with a one-line statement. And hopefully in that one line, he's going to tell me who we are, what we're doing, and what we are to each other. So you might say, hey, John, remember when Uncle Charlie, took that Frisbee and hit me in the head? Mom was furious. Okay, that's an offer. I just gave some information. We're together, we're at the picnic, we have the mother, all that is information that this person now is listening deeply, deeply, and fully to what is said. Because now they're going to take that, accept it, and add to it. Right? So, the first step of improv is deep listening. The second step is a self-assessment of your emotional impact. What did this statement have on me? What kind of impact did that statement have on me? Right? It could be sadness, it could be grief, it could be surprise, it could be joy. I have to assess that. Because if I have a feeling, if I have a facial expression that's joyful, and I don't speak to that joy, the audience will be totally disappointed and disconnected. Or vice versa, which is a better example. They say something like, you remember when Uncle Charlie just died last week? If I'm sad, if I have a sad face on myself, the audience wants me to speak to that. Right? If I just say, oh yeah, let's go get a hamburger. No, time out. Talk about what just happened. What just happened? It's like when someone says something impactful and we tend to ignore it. That's the worst thing. All right? In improv, you cannot do that. The audience will be totally dissatisfied. And I want to impress on you that that's important in all of our communications. If someone says something that impacts you in some way, you have to identify that impactfulness and speak to that in some appropriate way. Otherwise, there's no communication whatsoever. Right, so that's the second step. Deep listening is the first step. Self-assessment of my feelings is the second step. And the third step is some authentic response that incorporates that feeling. Right? That's a cycle of communication. I call that the conscious communication cycle. All right? And then this person's doing that. So that's how we do an improv on stage. And with that, the audience is interested. They're saying, okay, what's going to happen next? Did he hit the Frisbee? Did he hit him on the head? They're interested. Right? Might not be funny, but it's interesting and it's entertaining. Right? So that is what an improv is, as opposed to stand-up comedy. So, we are going to play, and we're going to practice some stuff, okay? So, I hope you guys are ready for some activity. Yes?
How do you, when you're listening to the improv,
or the person speaking to you, how do you turn off your thoughts about what they just said, or that you may have something going through your mind while they're saying it?
Excellent question, okay? Sometimes two people come out on stage, and they both have an idea, and sometimes those ideas are different, all right? This is a little bit related to that. Whoever speaks first is where we go. This person has to drop their idea, drop their agenda, and follow their thought. You have to follow the flow. You have to be flexible in improv to go in a different direction, such as if you have a client. If you're going in with a statement that you want to make to your client, and your client goes in a different direction, you got to go there with them. You have to follow them. Come back to that later. Otherwise, there's a disconnect. Then they say, you're not listening to me. It's like a bad salesperson, right? A bad salesperson, all they want to do is give their pitch and not listen to the client and just wait for them to stop talking so that they can give their pitch. You have to be a good listener, first step. Because when you respond to that statement, you automatically make a connection with that person, a heartful connection, a deeper connection. They know you're there. There's a trusting relationship now. Now you can take the next step. If you ignore that, you'll never have a connection. All right? Okay, so we're going to do some exercises in about 1 minute. All right, so the first thing I want to do, though, is to identify the difference between a feeling and a thought. All right? A feeling is simple. I am excited. I am cold. I am angry. I am fearful. It's usually just one word after the word feel. It's simple, right? Let me tell you what a feeling is not. Feeling is not, I feel that you should be a little bit more on time. That's not a feeling. That's a thought. That's a thought. In fact, that's a judgment. And even if you're talking about yourself, you say, I feel that I should have done that differently before. That's not a feeling. That's a thought. Okay? A feeling stays right in here, and it's usually just one word after the word feel. I feel angry. I feel sorrowful. I feel excited. Okay? Very simple. The reason I'm saying that is because we're going to do some exercises where I want you to identify your feeling. And what you do with that is, you use your discretion, but it's important to identify that. Okay. All right? We're going to do some fun now. We're going to have some fun. So, everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Okay. And raise an arm. If you would, raise an arm. And go find a partner that hopefully you do not know. And when you find that partner, put your arm down. All right, go.